you want to make sure you stay in good conversation, you gotta tune in to Coffee and Conversation with Collette. That's me. Thursday mornings from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. on the only station, WHPR TV 33. See you soon. Rise and shine, up and Adam. It is the first due day of fall. Can you believe that? You're officially tuned in to Coffee and Conversation with Collette, and I do my curtsy as always because that is my reverence that I give to you. It is Friday. You all know what happens on Friday. We have the Son of Man, the new nation of Islam, from 7 to 8 a.m. And then it all depends. If you guys get rolling, we'll actually go into the 8 o'clock hour. Of course, if he's available to continue the conversations. But that's the first option that we give you. But if not, at 8 o'clock, we turn into Freestyle Friday and we talk about whatever is happening, whatever is on your mind, hot news topics, any topics. That's what we do. Because we know that there's more than one way to have a conversation. We're so happy that you have tuned in to TV 33, WHPR TV 33, and whether it is on TV 33 or Roku or Comcast or streaming live, however you got here today, thank you so much because we know you want to be a part of this conversation. Again, so much is happening. Last week, I'm going to give this little intro and then I'm going to bring Son of Man in because you all really tickle me. Let me just say that. I really get tickled because we always say that we want more. And we're so great at pointing our fingers and holding others accountable. But then when the mirror comes back to us, when the finger comes back to us, when you have to look at I, me, and mine, we don't do very well with that. Yeah, I said it. And maybe we don't do very well because we don't want to have the outward conversations because, again, everyone is so great at calling me on the line after the conversation. You all, we're in this together. I feel like, what was the song? We're in this love together. Look, we're in this together. Whatever it is that you want to say, you can say it on these airwaves to me. I don't get offended. You have to know that. I don't get offended. That's not how this works. Because I love us, I'm open. My energy is open. You're not going to say anything that's going to offend me. I'm going to be open to listen to what you have to say versus hearing you. Now, I might not agree, and I might give you some other things to go back and forth because that's what dialogue does. But you guys got to know that you can call in and we can have the conversation. You don't have to call my phone. So coming off of the conversation yesterday, you all didn't like this topic. The topic was, has Black America flatlined? And I gave the equation, yes, flatlined. That means that you lack power to increase. That means that you remain static. And I gave the examples of everything that we've consistently done, everything that we're enduring right now, and we keep doing the same thing. And because we've given so much homage, as rightfully so, and rightfully due, to our foremothers and fathers who paved the way, maybe it was just too much for us. Maybe it was too much because maybe we never thought that we would get to where we are as quickly as we've gotten here. So maybe we all thought back in the 60s with the civil rights movement that we were never going to be able to ride in the front of the bus, that we would just keep working on it, but we'd never be able to ride in the front, or we'd never be able to sit at the counter as quickly, or we'd never be able to buy a house in a quote-unquote better neighborhood, or we'd never be able to send our children to a quote better school, or we'd never be able to have a career outside of a domestic work or a construction work much quicker. Maybe that's what it was. And so when all this stuff happened to us, maybe the only thing that we felt that we had to do when an injustice came upon us was to protest. And so I've challenged us that protest is great, but protest without policy, protest without a plan doesn't work. And we consistently see it, but we consistently do it, and then we wonder why our situations aren't different. So, or what people have told me on the line, well, Collette, because I said a riot, well, it was a peaceful protest, and then it turned into a riot. But who turned it into a riot? Were we the ones that were just looting in St. Louis? Was that us? And so the conversations that we then display our anger through the protest, then that turns into the riot. because we want attention. We want someone to hear our cries and hear our pleas and come and fix it and save it for us. It has not happened, and it's not going to happen. Hello, newsflash. It's not happening. But we consistently do the same thing and expect a different result. So what have we seen? Again, coming off of news last week. So there are no consequences to the issues that have happened with, it just is none, with any of the police officers that are killing black and brown people. There are not any consequences. It's not, okay? So when the verdict finally came back in St. Louis, and we're in an uproar, and we started rioting. Well, did you all know, let me add to that, that in St. Louis now the minimum wage has decreased from $10 down, I believe it's $7.50. I was reading Governing Magazine. How do you decrease the minimum wage? Okay? But the minimum wage is decreased now in St. Louis. So imagine, monies are being taken away from the everyday hardworking person, and then injustices are happening all around us. And so again, the only thing that we do is protest. And then we expect a result. And so when those results aren't happening, we are static. And I believe across this country, we are static. Right here at home, we are watching now that the individuals, the director who was handling the water situation for Flint, now they're in trial situations now, and you can see the conversations on the news that say, well, when you knew that there were contaminants, when you knew that there was the Legionnaires, why didn't you inform the people? Why wouldn't you inform the people? And the man on the witness said, well, I don't know why we didn't inform them. Well, we didn't inform them because we didn't care to inform them because they were surplus labor and it wasn't an issue if up to date 12 people have died. Oh, that's just okay. And then those of us who are appalled about it, we've talked about it, but then the action attached to it is what? So we're still living in the conditions. We're static. We have this big uproar now about what's happening in Kid Rock being the open performance at the Little Caesars Arena. Well, my conversation to you was, why didn't you protest before the building was even built? Why weren't you protesting the monies that were used out of public dollars to build the building? The issue wasn't about who's performing in the building. Attach it to a bigger conversation. Because when the train is moving, you ain't stopping the train. But again, we said, and we had these protests, and then he has his 5 shows, and no one said anything else. We go back to status quo. So then when I asked you yesterday, when I presented to you that, okay, has Black America flatlined? Do we know not more what to do? Now that we've worked so hard to be assimilated into their society, then we're at a standstill. We're at a stagnation. Even then, our leaders, our political leaders, quote unquote, our religious leaders, quote unquote, don't even have the same mantras and the ideologies. So that's a perfect segue in this morning as I introduce to you the Honorable Son of Man, because he has been presenting to you how you can do some things differently. And let me just say again, I think it's so interesting that you're calling me and you tell me, instead of telling Son of Man, what you want to hear from him. I got calls after last week's conversation. Remember, last week, Son of Man, it was his show. And so he didn't give you all a lecture or take a biblical quote and say, okay, this is what it is and we're going to talk about it. He gave you the opportunity to question him on anything. And we might have had a couple of people that were strong enough to call in to bite. And at the end, we were getting into some good dialogue. And I presented to us that maybe we didn't know what to ask because we just don't know. That's not how we've been indoctrinated. We have been taught that you go to the church and you listen to what the minister says, and then you might think about what he says or she says afterwards. We're not reading to show ourselves studied and approved. But then you all called me. I can't wait to ask Son of Man if you called back into his show later on that evening. But then you called me and said, well, Collette, the problem that we have, it's not that he's not giving us the information. It's that he wants to be argumentative, and that's not what we want. We just want to learn. Well, if you want to learn, then say that. If you want him to take a scripture tie it into a bigger conversation, and give you an action plan, say that. Don't tell me. But that's okay though, because maybe you're saying that I'm the median, so I can give it to him, and so you'll ultimately get what you want, and that's fine. If I'm the conduit, I will take it. I will do it. But I'm saying time is of the essence. So if there's something that we need from someone, we have to be able to speak it, right? You have to not lose your voice in everything that's happening around you. You don't have to just agree to what everyone is saying to you because they're saying it. It doesn't mean that you have to agree and go along with it. Hello? If it's not meeting your needs, you don't have to go along with it. As we've consistently said, if some things are happening, and you, especially in the church, and you can't transfer that out into your daily life, then you need to question it. If I'm not getting something that's going to equip me to be successful, either in my home, at my job, raising my children, being better for myself, that I get from this place that I go to worship and people that I follow, then you need to question that. So you know what? With that regard, I'm happy that you called me. Let me say that. I'm happy that you called me and you were able to have the conversation to talk about what you needed, because then I can present that to the Son of Man. So if you'd like us in this time frame, that's what I thought we attempt to do. I thought that we create local topics, we create national conversation, and then add a spiritual reference either from the Bible, the Quran, both, and then we make it relevant to today and a plan of action. I thought that's what we did. But if we needed to be more exact in that, I don't have a problem with that either. Whatever it is that's going to get you engaged so that we no longer remain static. I don't want us, you know what happens when you flatline. Normally, you have to get the energy from the paddles to bring you back. And if you can't get them back to get the heart beating, then that's it. We're more than that. We're better than that. We should be better than that. Our conversations will be better than that. How we interact with each other will make us better. Because a static people, I believe, soon flatline. Because there's nothing else. And maybe so that's why we couldn't have a conversation yesterday, because maybe you didn't know what else to do. If you can't sit and make a platform for someone to save you, maybe you don't have any more conversation. And that's okay. If you just are actively saying, you know what, I don't even know what to do anymore. I don't even know what to do. I don't even know what to talk about. I don't even know. I don't know, because I just don't know what to do. If you say that, then that's not a problem. We can be honest about that. I'm going to give us a quote. I still love the quote from yesterday. Then I'm going to invite the Son of Man into the conversation. Quote, here's the thing. When we talk about race relations in America or racial progress, it's all nonsense. There is no race relations. White people were crazy. Now they're not as crazy. To say that black people have made progress would be to say they deserve what happened to them before. That was from Chris Rock. So if we understand what it is exactly what it is. Donald Trump's presidency is showing what it is in huge proportion, as his word big proportion. You're just picking fights. You're just a big bully on the block. Government, I believe, has always been the bully to people of color, those without means. As a clip we saw yesterday, that everyone leeches off the ghetto. Wealth is made off the ghetto. Oppression out of the ghetto. Entertainment out of the ghetto. Everything lives. So if you fix the ghetto, quote unquote, then there's no other means for you to make the living that you make. And that's in all arenas. I asked you all yesterday, did you have a problem? Callers, I see it, so I'm glad you guys are calling in. I asked you all, did you have a problem yesterday with everybody going to kick it at the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation, the weekend that they're having right as it started yesterday? So everybody's going to the Congressional Black Caucus, and all the black folks are going to kick it and hee-haw and party for the weekend, and we're going, excuse the expression, hell in a handbasket. You're not pushing any legislation. You don't control any policy. You're not out here getting people registered to vote. You're not creating viable candidates in these local markets. You're not doing anything. But maybe that's the wrong expectation, because you're part of the system. So you figure as long as I'm part of the system, I can have the conversation and I can give you what sounds good. I can give you those sound bites, and then you'll just keep voting me in because I tell you I'm working for you. And then the last thing, and then I'll bring the Son of Man in because I really want us to be clear about these conversations of the next 2 hours. We've been talking about insurance in Detroit since I have been born. I'm 45 years old. Everybody's been talking about the rates of insurance in Detroit. Oh, the rates are too high. Every elected official going into any type of government, I'm going to address auto insurance. Everybody's been saying it, and it hasn't happened until now. So now you have a mayor who's actively up in Lansing talking to Republicans and Democrats to push an agenda to create assurance, decreased insurance for the residents in the city of Detroit. And everybody else has been saying that they've been working on it and it hasn't gotten anywhere. And so I'm just wondering that if the momentum that he has created now can get relief to the people potentially, where were we before? What were the issues before? If everyone knows that insurance rates have been high, I don't know what's the problem. Or maybe the issue was because you had the lobbyists for the insurance agencies were giving money into your campaign contribution pockets and the like, and so you could keep talking about it, but then you don't have to move on it. But then we wonder why, and then we get mad, and so then we just stay static when now those who are moving into the city, you know what it is. The rates are going to be cheaper for white folks moving into the city because they're not going to have the same rates that we've been paying. They're not going to pay. So I have to do something to change it. That's what it is. And so when we blatantly see it in front of us, we're not having the conversations because we didn't hold those of us who were there accountable before. It's no different, black people. We're mad that the white people came back, but we've been here and didn't do it. That's what I said. So now we're static because everything is changing around us and we don't know what to do. We don't know where our place is. And so we're static. So it's with that I welcome in. Assalamu alaikum. Great morning to you, Son of Man.
Alaikum. There's so much you brought in that we have such little time.
Right.
I want to say to everyone who is listening and is hungry and thirsty for truth and righteousness, may Allah, Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you.
As long as one of the reasons why I want to say, one of the reasons why when you go to the doctor, that the doctor can generally stay calm and help you.
Yes.
It's because the doctor is not a victim of that disease that you have, and he's not an ignorant victim of it.
Okay.
Ignorant simply means that you have it, but you don't know what to do about it.
Yes.
The doctor may have had that before. He may have seen that disease before, but he has knowledge that enables him to know how to help heal you. Mm-hmm. The scripture says of me, it says that unto you that fear my name, unto you that fear the word of God, shall the Son of Righteousness arise. S-U-N. S-U-N of righteousness. Mm-hmm. Arise with healing in his words. Only it says wings. Okay. Now, I want you to remember what was taking place during the time of integration. Okay. And when did integration take place? Okay. It took place at a time when a black man in America was telling black people, okay, you see white people don't want us. Okay, let's unite and let's start pooling our resources and doing for ourselves. Now, the white man said he didn't want us. Then why was he trying to fight the Honorable Elijah Muhammad from uniting us to do for ourselves?
Right.
It is because he didn't actually free us. He just told us we was free. And he knew that we really didn't know what freedom is, and we still don't know.
Right.
That's why you think that you are free in America here and think that you should have equal rights with white people. When in reality, if you just sit back and really thought about it and stop ego tripping, you would know that you can never be equal to the owner of this country when you was his slave. He will never look at you as an equal of his. The only way, if you want to be his equal, you have to get your own country and start governing and ruling yourself and doing the things for yourself that he's doing for himself. I want to, that's what the counterintelligence program of the FBI and of the, that they instituted. Part of that counterintelligence was integration. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad, the messenger of God, was teaching us to separate from white people and unite with our own, pool our resources, and set up our own schools, put up our own infrastructure, so to speak, create our own financial base, and start doing things for ourselves that we had been begging others to do for us.
Right.
But they didn't want that to happen. They didn't want to see us, and they yet don't want to see this happen to you. And if I wasn't here, it wouldn't happen. But it's going to happen. It's just not going to happen with all of us. Okay. God didn't say all of Abraham's seed was going to come out of slavery. He simply said that, and also that nation whom they shall serve will I judge, and afterward shall they come out with great substance. He told Abram that his seed was going to be a slave. Every seed of Abraham didn't wind up over here in slavery, but some of us did. And likewise, every one of us is not going to come out because we're so afflicted with the mentality that white people put in us. We're so filled with hatred for ourselves that anyone who tries to come and change us, we just refuse to change. Like it says in Matthew, the 10th chapter, it says, "Think not that I am come to send peace on earth. For I am not come to send peace, but a sword. For I am come to set a man at variance." At variance means disagreement against the ways of his father. I know it simply says at variance against his father, but I'm telling you what it meant. At variance, at disagreement against the ways of his father, and the daughter against the ways of her mother, and the daughter-in-law against the ways of her mother-in-law. Right. And a man's enemies, a man's foes, those who fight him, will be they of his own household. But that's what the white man did to us. He put us one against the other. It's just like people who say, well, all the Son of Man wants to do is argue. Well, actually, that's all you want to do. And you get upset because when I'm able to present a reason why you shouldn't be arguing with me, it upsets you. When you're just like the white man. And no wonder you got his mind inside of you. So he hates me, so you hate me, because you have his mind. He's always hated any black man that he couldn't outthink and couldn't manipulate and couldn't put fear into. So he figures out a way to try to save face, so he would call you crazy, or he would call you something, call you out of your name, or anything to keep from acknowledging that what you just said to him is the truth. And that's the way most of my people are. You are so deceived by this Caucasian's way of life and by what he put in you that you don't see that he's still ruling you from inside of you. And as long as you are receiving his education and looking at the world and looking at yourself through his eyes, you will always keep running back to him, looking for him to solve your problems when he's the one who's creating your problems. And as long as you don't acknowledge that, you're going to always be his slave.
Right.
I remember this police officer told me when I was out west back in the 70s, when I had, accepted Islam, and we were out on the fish crew, and I was selling fish, and they had a habit of stopping us just to, we didn't have refrigerated trucks, but we had freezers inside of the vans, and we would plug them up at night and put the fish in there, and they would keep most of the day. But they'd stop us sometime just to, let the, if the day wore on, the ice in the freezer, and the things could start melting.
Right.
But anyway, I told one officer after he checked the ID and everything, I told him in a very calm tone, said, Allah is God. I said, Muhammad is his messenger, and you certainly the devil. And he looked at me, and he said, that's right, and you're going to always be the devil's slave. And I looked at him, and I said, well, we'll see about that.
Okay.
And, that's the way they talk to those of us who know who they are. He knew more about me than I knew about me.
Right.
Well, I'm sure he knew I'm the Son of Man. The devil wasn't dead when Jesus was around. He said, Jesus, thou Son of God, art thou come here to torment us before the time? He saw, and he knew. That's why he talked to me like that. But I didn't see him from whence I see him now. As the Holy Quran says, surely he sees you, he as well as his hosts, from whence you see them not. But thanks to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, Allah and his messenger, I see him. And the things that I say to you, just like you talk about having a conversation about race, you ain't never going to have no conversation about race with white people. They will, if you think you having a conversation about race, it's not really, because it's just a Negro that he taught, that he put the words in, and so it's like he's talking to himself. That's why every time a so-called Negro gets in front of white people and race comes up, the white man always have him on the defensive. And you won't find no white man coming in here trying to talk to me about race. He's afraid to come in here with me because he knows he can't put me on the defensive. He's on the defensive.
Okay.
I'll show you an example. Okay. When one tried to put me on the defensive, this is what happened. Now I want you to listen to this.
Okay.
And listen at this dumb white boy. I mean, he had to be pretty dumb to even say what he said. This is what we put on the internet to invite people to view our graduation.
Okay.
It says, this is me, a quote from what I said.
Okay.
It says, we, Allah, myself, and my followers, want to see you, black people, governing yourselves. Okay. We want to see you educating your own children. We want to see you writing your own books to be used in your own educational institutions. Mm-hmm. We want to see you, black architectural, electrical, geological, industrial, etc., engineers, planning and building your own cities. Mm-hmm. We want to see you, black scientists, in laboratories of your own, working to discover and create new things for the benefit of our people. We want to see us building and operating our own lumber mills to turn trees into usable lumber for ourselves. We want to see us building and operating our own paper mills. We want to see us going into the earth and mining out the iron and other useful minerals. We want to see us manufacturing our own farm equipment. We want to see us building our own textile mills to produce our own clothing needs. Yes. I could go on and on. You may say I have a good dream, but I say dreams are for sleepers. I am not asleep. I am wide awake. A man who is wide awake does not have dreams. He has plans. Okay. Now, I have plans to see my black people free at last.
Yes.
Now, this is what Kip Kusner had to say to that.
Okay.
Replace the word black with white, and you'd be up in arms hollering about racism. And then he put double standard. Now, that's to show you how dumb that white boy is.
Okay, double standard.
His people are already doing what I said I want to see my people doing.
Yes.
And if it's okay for his people to do it, why does he suggest that it's racism when I say I want to see my people do it?
Right.
You see, they never intended for you and I to be free.
Right.
That's why they did not want us to listen to a man like the Honorable Elijah Muhammad or Marcus Garvey. Mm-hmm. They didn't want us to be awakened to the true meaning of what freedom is. Tell you what, next time you get a chance, look up the word freedom, and it will tell you, it will have words like liberty, and it will just go into a circle on independence. And freedom, liberty, independence, they are synonymous. They mean the same thing. The white man ain't never freed us. That's one of the tricks he played on us. And so that's one of the biggest tricks he played on us. It's not the biggest. When he taught us that in a subliminal level that he is God, giving us all them pictures of white people.
Right.
Talking about this is Jesus, after he taught us that Jesus was God in the flesh.
Right.
Then he gave us a picture, an image that looked like him and told us it was Jesus.
Right.
And then so in our little mind, like when I was growing up, I prayed with that picture in my mind, worshiping the image of the beast. Mm-hmm. Worshiping, that's just one meaning of that.
Right.
When you open your mouth and words come out, you are shipping words out of your mouth to other people's ears.
Right.
Well, every word that we let come out of our mouth before the Honorable Elijah Muhammad started teaching, it was the words of white people. Yeah. We were word-shipping the beast.
Son of Man, if I can, let me interrupt for 1 second, Son of Man. I want everyone to get on his request, freedom. Definition of freedom, the power or right to act, speak, or think as one wants without hindrance or restraint. Absence of subjection to foreign domination. Did you all get that? I want some of the words. Independence. Those are the synonyms. Independence, self-government, self-determination, self-rule, home rule, sovereignty, autonomy, democracy. Liberty, liberation, release, deliverance, delivery, discharge. Please continue, sir.
Yes. So this is what he did. He gave us the most superficial, the most shallow knowledge. Yeah. It's like when in elementary school, we never did learn that words have more than one meaning. If you learned it, you didn't learn that from him. You learned it by going into a dictionary and looking up words yourself and just discovering that they had more than one meaning. Because when we was in school, they had us draw a line to what a word means. Yeah. And we thought that was all, and then use it in a sentence. Right. And when we was able to use that word and that particular meaning in one sentence, we thought we understood the word.
That's right.
And so that is the way he made us what you call functionally illiterate. You know, like Dylan Roof. You know, he could read
Right.
and go on.
Right.
But the boy was he's a fool. I mean, here he convinced himself of a lie that it's black people killing white people all over America every day. And over 100 white women are being raped every day by black men.
Right.
Now, he convinced himself of that, you know, after he said he went online and got these statistics.
Right.
But you notice, that's the way the white man has always done. That's the way the bigoted, dumb white man has always done. He stood up in front of other white people.
Yes.
He wouldn't have a black man in there to argue with.
Yes.
He'd stand up and just say what he wanted to say about black people to justify his wicked intentions and his wicked heart
Yes.
against us. It's just like what I'm saying now. I know, you know, that average one of you all, you hate me for being a man. That's what your biggest problem with me is.
You think? Wait, son of man, say right there.
You hate me
Say
because
right there.
I'm a man.
You think that's what it is?
I'm not a child. People treat me like a child.
Ah.
If I have something that I disagree with you about,
Right.
I don't feel like I got to whisper.
Right. Right.
I don't get in no little back room somewhere. I live in Mississippi with these white people.
Right.
I'm not running from him, and I'm not looking over my shoulder, worrying about whether he's going to come kill me.
Right. Right. Right.
Because one day I'm going to die anyway
Right.
if things stay the same.
Okay.
So what's the difference? At least I won't die begging him, and I won't die pretending that everything all right. We gonna be fine. We gonna be fine when we wake up to the fact that we are not free. Like you said earlier, when a person realizes that they don't know, that is when learning begins.
Yes.
As long as a person thinks, just like you all think you know so much. If you know so much, why do you have so little? If you know so much, why are you having all these problems with white people?
Yeah. Ah. But you know what, son of man, wait, say right
I'm
there.
not kidding.
Say right there, because what you just said, say right there. And so maybe that's our problem. Maybe because we keep trying to say that the problem is the white people, but maybe the problem isn't the white people, that the problem is the black people. Because the black people will, now we're going to go to the lines, because we'll consistently go back and forth and argue with you when you have a plan and are trying to create another opportunity for us to stop depending on white folks. And I just gave Son of Man as an example because he is giving us his time on these airwaves. But the people that don't have a plan that look like you'll follow them into oblivion. And there's no plan. And the white people don't have anything to do with it. I shared yesterday, Son of Man, there is a white supremacist. I'm not going to give his name because I'm not going to feed into that. But he was giving a comparative. And he said, well, if you're in a situation and it's a black police officer who kills a black person, he was referencing what was going on in Baltimore, that 3 of the officers were black. He said, so if a black police officer kills a black person and the black people riot, where does a white person fall in? He said, so you're mad at the white people, but it was the black police officer who killed the black people, and the black people rioted in the community. So how is it the white man's fault? And so I'm asking us, maybe that's our problem right there, is that we keep trying to blame the white man, but the white man is only doing what the white man is going to do. And we know that. So is it really our problem because we can't get together? And now we want to fight for who we want to follow. So maybe that's what it is, Son of Man. Let's go to the line. You want to go to the lines?
Okay.
Let's go to the lines. Great morning to you. Thanks for your patience. Good morning. Are you there, caller? Oh, no. Caller, you're not there? Okay, let me go to the next line. Thanks for your patience. Good morning.
Hey, good morning, Collette.
Good morning.
I just want to say, it ain't the white man per se. You know, the white man is a national Negro excuse. You know, for
Are you there? Ooh, okay, we lost you. Call back. Maybe you just got disconnected. Let me go to the line again, son of man. Thanks for your patience. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Can you hear me?
Absolutely.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I had you on hold so long. I had to move around. Got to get to work.
Okay.
But I just want to say I appreciate your show so much. And Son of Man, he's always on point on what he's saying because they constantly are keeping us asleep and slumber. We're like walking dead out here. We don't get it. We are so trained like seals to support the ones that steal.
Okay.
And it's time to wake up and to build a nation and to be with the one that's going to help us build a nation.
Yeah.
And until we start thinking like builders,
Nice.
then we will help our enemies to keep us stagnated and going nowhere.
Yes.
And it's a shame because our children are suffering because they're not getting the knowledge. Because if the tree don't have the knowledge, then the fruit won't be empowered.
Absolutely.
So it's important for us to wake up and build our own nation, what we call build our own tribe, nationalize,
Yeah.
whatever it takes. But we have it in us.
Yeah.
And without the knowledge and the execution, then we're just going to be constantly stumbling and going in circles.
Yeah. You know what? I have a question for you, if I can. Why,
Okay.
and thank you so much for calling in, as always. Why is it that you don't have a problem with the Son of Man saying that he is the Son of Man?
Because I believe in the power of I am.
Okay.
You know, we've been tricked with all kind of, philosophy and so on. But if you know that your purpose is who you are and what you're going to be, and it's all good and it's natural and it makes sense,
Okay.
it's doable.
Okay.
It's executionable. You know, we
Okay.
can execute whatever we want to if we believe in ourselves, and our purpose on this earth is to give. Living is giving.
Okay.
So if you think you're just about a me, I, we, it's not going to work.
Okay.
It's got to be a attitude, a flavor, a spirit that's giving, caring, compassionate, and it's going to do well and to help us grow and to go where we need to go in order to save ourselves, because
Yeah.
nobody else is coming. We have to do it.
Absolutely. I appreciate the call. Son of Man, did you have a comment to her statement? Okay.
I want to say that even to that, you know, the scripture says that no man knows who the Son is, the Father, nor who the Father is but the Son, and to whom the Son will reveal him.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, the reason that I'm telling you that I'm the Son of Man is because I understand that that's who I am.
Right.
It's not a something that I'm saying ego.
Mm-hmm.
It's something that I'm saying, and that I have knowledge that I base that on.
Mm-hmm.
You got all these people. It's like I told you last week. You know, forget all this love talk.
Right.
If a man, I as a man, say that I love my family and I love my people, and then you look to see what I'm doing. If what I'm doing is stagnant, if what I'm doing is just sitting around running my mouth,
Yeah.
then that's not love. Love makes you not want to do something to a person. Lust makes you do that.
Right.
Love makes you want to do for a person.
Yes.
And so if you listen to what comes out of my mouth, and then look at what comes in my deeds,
Mm-hmm.
that's how I show that I love my people.
Yes.
And like these brothers who I talk to all of the time, and they get angry with me, and I know why they get angry with me, because they've been listening to the wrong leadership.
Right.
They've been listening to leaders who talk to them like they are children, and they teach them on that level. They talk to them like, well, brother, I know you're on drugs, brother, but you're a good brother, and you're a strong brother, and you're a powerful brother. And they swell their head up with a bunch of lies.
Okay.
There's nothing good and strong about a dope head.
Right. Right.
And until they start getting somebody who will tell them that brother, no, you ain't about nothing if that's what you're doing. Mm-hmm. If you don't get up and start providing a future, unite with your own brother and work together with each other so that we can have a future for ourselves and our people. If you're not willing to do that, then I can't even call you brother, man.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You know, I mean, I'm not here to help you do bad,
right,
just so I can get $1 out your pocket.
Right. Right.
Exactly.
You get your $1. I want you. I don't want yours.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
Do you see how those ministers are building tents for the homeless?
I didn't hear your question.
Did you see how the ministers are building tents for the homeless?
No.
Building tents.
No.
Building
Where?
tents.
You know, you don't build.
They're starting on the east side, and they're building tents for the homeless because a lot of people don't want to go to shelters because of the horror stories that's being let out about the shelters.
Okay, so they're built. Okay, no, I need to do some research. So tents,
Yeah,
tents are being built.
Look on my page. Okay. I got it on my page.
Okay,
on my Facebook page. So research that. They're doing an excellent job, and I will be over there trying to help with food and water. But we don't have these big mega churches going out here reaching out to the homeless and the impact that they could, because all they doing is, to me, collecting dollars for their Rolex and their Learjets. Yeah. And like the Son of Man said, you don't just talk the talk. He's walking that talk. He's doing things. He's building.
Yeah.
He's helping to empower.
Yeah.
So, you can talk and preach all day, but if it's only words, then the people are still hungry.
Yeah.
And they're still suffering.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. Appreciate your call. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Absolutely. You know, and that's interesting, you all. I'm going to do some research. I'm not trying to poo-poo on what people are doing. I think it's interesting. So if you're building tents, I mean, luckily for us right now, we're in this season, this weather, but we know that's a byproduct of what is happening with the hurricanes. The forecast shows that even as of next Friday, it's supposed to drop down into the 60s. We're getting into the fall, and you know what winter looks like for us, majority in the Midwest normally. So I don't know. So maybe that's what they believe is an immediate remedy to provide a tent versus a shelter if the snow's going to come. I don't know what that looks like, but I thought, and again, I'm not poo-pooing, but I thought that there's a bigger opportunity to do more. There's a bigger opportunity here, because are these people that are homeless only because they, most of us are a check away from homelessness, to tell the truth. If something happened and you missed your job within 1 or 2 check pay periods, there would be some problems. And definitely if you don't have anyone to go to be able to bring a resource and support of you. But why do we have to put them in tents? What does that look like? Do you know what our housing stock is around here? So many abandoned houses on the blocks. So it's the issue. So maybe are we addressing what the real issue is? Are these individuals who need jobs, they need employment? Are there some other resources? Because a tent is a Band-Aid. That's just my opinion. But I'm going to get the information, because I'm not trying to, poo-poo on people, Son of Man. I'm not trying to do that. I'm just trying to understand what the bigger, what it is what we need to be doing at a larger scale.
Well, all you did is the truth. I mean, a tent in a storm is you don't build tents; you just put up tents. Right. That's by nature right. The word tent. Right. That's where the word tentative comes from.
Yes.
It means something that is temporary.
Yes.
And, one of the things that proves that this world should end, and the things that's bringing this world to an end, the rulers, they deserve to be brought down, is, part of ruling, part of the duties of a leader is to motivate,
Yes.
not just to get out there and do themselves, but to motivate those who lack motivation.
Yes.
Give them motivation
Yes.
to get up and do for themselves
Yes.
and restore to them their own dignity.
Yes.
That is no man has dignity when other people are doing for him.
Right.
The dignity that a man has within has to come from what he's doing for himself. That creates and makes him creates a pride in him,
Yes.
and in his own ability
Yes.
to do for himself.
Yes.
And that's what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught me, and that's what he shared with me.
Okay.
He shared with me how to do for myself
Yes.
and stop depending on others.
Yes.
And he said that we as a people need to stop depending on others and start looking within.
Yes.
We have doctors. We have engineers.
Yes.
We have farmers.
Yes.
We have people who can do everything.
Yes.
We have builders.
Yes.
But we just don't have unity.
Ah.
And every time we try to come together in unity, the white man and the white man's teaching inside of us breaks us apart.
Yes.
So that's why we had to point out to you
Yes.
that the white man is at the root of our problem.
Okay. So
I'm not telling you that the white skin is at the root of our problem.
Right.
That's not what I mean when I say white man.
Right.
I'm only saying white man so that you will identify the ruler that I'm talking about.
Okay.
But the ruler has put his mind in everybody.
Right. Son of Man,
And so it is the white mind
Okay.
that's in us
Yeah.
that we are carrying around that makes us hate ourselves.
Yes. Yes. Son of Man,
And
that's
it's
what I
time
need to
to-
do. If I can. It's 8:00 hour. Do you have a few more minutes to share with us? Because we got
Yes, ma'am.
the calls are lit, so I want to make sure I get it to everyone, and I want you to stay a part of that conversation if you have the time.
Yes, ma'am. I
Okay,
make
absolutely. So everyone, this is what we're going to do. Don't turn that dial. We're going to, at the top of the hour, we're going to take a break. Go get your coffee, get your juice. Come right on back so we can finish the conversation. Callers, I see all of you. We'll get right to you. We'll be right back.